If you've ever played Peekaboo and felt like your baby somehow knew what was coming, that intuition is backed by real developmental psychology. Long before babies can talk, they're already predicting social patterns, detecting cause and effect, and storing simple memories of new actions. In this video, I'll walk through 4 classic infant experiments you can adapt at home, what each one reveals, and how to do them without turning a playful observation into an overblown conclusion. These are all simplified home versions of famous lab paradigms, which means the magic is not special equipment. It's consistency, observation, and knowing what not to overclaim. First, the big caveat. These are not diagnostic tests. A single home session cannot tell you whether your baby is advanced, delayed, or anything in between. Think of these as carefully observed games. For all 4, use the same ground rules. Choose a calm, alert baby in the middle of a wake window. Keep the room quiet. Stop immediately if your baby fusses or turns away. And keep the session short. 3 clean minutes with a happy baby are more useful than 10 messy minutes with an overtired one. And before you start, decide what would make you end the session early. That way, you're following your baby's state, not your own curiosity. Experiment 1 is Peekaboo, but done as a real protocol. In The Fear of the Angemides, Jerome Bruner argued that Peekaboo works because it has a rigid structure. Disappearance, suspense, and reveal. That repetitive structure gives babies something they can start to predict. What looks casual from the outside is actually a tiny repeated script. And babies seem to learn the shape of that script very quickly. At home, keep the script identical for 3 or 4 trials. Eye contact, the same ready cue, cover your face from the center, pause for 2 seconds, then reveal with the same warm expression. The point of keeping the words and timing steady is that predictability gives the baby something to lock onto. Once that baseline is stable, change one thing. Delay the reveal, reveal from the wrong side, or make the center briefly empty before you appear. What you're watching for is anticipation. A smile before the reveal, body tension during the pause, or eyes going to the place they expected you to be. The point is not that your baby understands the game in an adult sense, it's that even this simple social routine is already giving them a structure they can learn and predict. Experiment 2 is the still face paradigm, and this one is optional because it's the most sensitive. Tronick's classic finding was that when a normally responsive parent suddenly goes neutral and unresponsive, babies protest quickly. The home version is simple. 1 minute of normal warm play, up to 30 seconds of still face, then immediate reunion. Even a brief neutral face can feel surprisingly long when you're the parent, which is why it helps to think of this as a tightly bounded observation, not an endurance exercise. If your baby cries, turns red, or if you feel uncomfortable, stop right away. The reunion is not optional. What this shows is not anything about attachment quality or your relationship. It shows that by around 4 to 5 months, babies already expect social partners to respond contingently. When that pattern breaks, they notice. Experiment 3 may be the most visually rewarding. In the classic mobile studies, babies learned that kicking made something interesting happen overhead. At home, the safest version uses a floor play gym, a soft ribbon, and full hands-on supervision. This one is especially satisfying because the change, if it happens, is often visible right in front of you. First, watch 2 minutes of normal kicking with no connection, then add a loose connection so kicking moves the toy, then remove it again. The observation lives in the contrast between those phases. Does kicking become more deliberate when the toy responds? After you disconnect it, do you see a burst of kicks as if your baby is trying to make the effect happen again? You're not looking for a perfect laboratory effect. You're looking for a noticeable shift from random movement to movement that seems organized around the toy. That's contingency detection. Noticing that when I do this, that happens. It's remarkable on its own. You don't need to inflate it into a claim about intelligence. Experiment 4 is imitation, and here the careful version matters. The flashy claim that newborns imitate faces has not held up especially well. The stronger evidence comes a little later with object actions. Start with the easiest version. Perform an unusual action with a rattle or cup 3 times, then hand it over and wait silently. A partial copy counts. For older babies, you can add a short delay. Demonstrate. Put the object away. Do something else for 10 minutes. Then bring it back with no reminder. That delay matters because it separates simple copying in the moment from remembering an action later. The hardest and most famous version uses a puppet or mitten with a bell inside. After a delay, does the baby do something that makes it jingle? What matters here is not perfect copying. It's whether your baby retains some representation of the action they saw. The difference between a home experiment and random play is how you write it down. Record what you saw, not what you think it means. Baby kicked more during the connected phase is an observation. Baby understood cause and effect is an interpretation. The most honest notes are concrete. Smiled before reveal. Looked at center first. Kicked more after disconnect. Reached for the puppet after the delay. Timing. Temperament and sheer luck are huge confounders. The same baby can look brilliant in the morning and bored in the afternoon. A single trial is interesting. A pattern across different days is much more informative. If you repeat the same setup on different days and start seeing the same pattern, that's when the observation becomes more persuasive. What I love about these experiments is not that they prove something grand. It's that they make early cognition visible. Peekaboo lets you watch prediction. Still face reveals social expectation. Kick to move shows cause and effect. Imitation gives you a glimpse of memory. If you want the full article, diagrams, and study citations, I'll link it below. And if you end up trying one of these at home, the rule is simple. Keep it safe, keep it short, and stay curious.